Hi, this is Hot Mike and I'm Nidhi Razdan. Is India caught in a bind between old friend Russia and new friend the United States? As the war in Ukraine advances and more civilians become the target of Russia's military, the world is turning its attention to see what the world's largest democracy will do. It's a tough one for New Delhi, which has been walking a diplomatic tightrope ever since Russia invaded Ukraine 4 weeks ago. Russia is an old partner of India's, and most of India's defense imports are, in fact, from Moscow. Around 85% of India's military equipment comes from Russia or has originated from the Soviet Union. That's according to research done by the Stimson Center, which is a Washington, D.C. based think tank. For India, this is all the more important given China's aggression on the line of actual control for the last couple of years. Over the years, though, the United States has also increasingly become close to India and emerged as a key defense and strategic partner, something which a top Biden administration official told NDTV. Victoria Nuland is an old hand when it comes to the Ukraine and Russia. She has been a key player, in fact, in imposing sanctions on the Putin government. And she says Russia is not a reliable partner for India any longer.
So we certainly know about the historic relationship and the defense relationship between first the Soviet Union and then Russia with India at a time when the U.S. was not prepared to have that kind of relationship. But times have changed now, right? They've changed in terms of U.S. and European willingness to be strong defense and security partner with India. We are doing more and more together in the Indo-Pacific, et cetera. But times have also changed in terms of the level of brutality and violation of international humanitarian law that we are seeing, because Russia has proven itself to be unreliable and to be a violator of international law.
Now, President Biden has called India's position shaky as he talked about where the US's partners in the Quad alliance stood on Russia today. That position was clearly conveyed to New Delhi when the US Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs visited the city this week.
We also spoke about the importance of democracies standing together now at this moment when the autocracies like Russia, like China, are showing what a level of threat they can be to peace and security. But you see, 4 weeks on, how vicious and violent and inhumane this invasion has been. You know, maternity hospitals, apartment buildings, orphanages, schools, opera houses hit. And so I think in Washington and in capitals around the world, the sheer horror of this is really having a profound effect.
Nuland says there is an evolution in India's thinking that is going on. But will it be as simple as that? India has been careful not to annoy Russia at all these weeks, even though it has sent humanitarian aid to Ukraine. In meetings with Quad leaders that took place in the last few days, first with Japan and then with Australia, the Prime Minister has been careful not to speak about the Ukraine invasion in his main media statements. Australia, meanwhile, has said on record that Quad member countries do understand India's position, but clearly there is disquiet within the Quad alliance, as is seen in Biden's statement. Despite a growing partnership with the United States, India has not hesitated to buy defense equipment from Russia, including the S-400 missile defense system, something which could attract US sanctions as well, but clearly India is ready to take that risk. Indian oil companies have also gone ahead in the recent past to finalize deals to purchase discounted Russian oil. This step came just days after the US government decided to completely ban the import of Russian oil. Government officials here in Delhi are stressing that India's legitimate energy transactions should not be politicized. They've also pointed out that recent Western sanctions on Russia have carve-outs to avoid an impact on energy imports from Russia, and that somehow the European sanctions and the US sanctions on Russia have also managed to skirt around the issue of the energy sector in particular, like when it comes to SWIFT bank payments. Indeed, that's what I asked the US official as well. There are your other allies in Europe, for example, like France and Germany, who continue to buy, for example, oil from Russia. They haven't stopped energy imports from there. Even the SWIFT sanctions against Russia do have these loopholes where, when it comes to energy, Russia isn't really being punished for that quite just yet. So, some would believe here that it's unfair to single India out on this. Why is there so much pressure on India regarding its position? Is it because it's the world's largest democracy and a partner in the Quad? Is that what it is?
So actually, with regard to energy, let me just correct the record here. We have, in fact, the amount of energy that India buys from Russia is relatively small. And we have made clear in our conversation that we understand that's not something that you can cut off immediately, in the same way that we've been clear with our European allies who are still too dependent on Russian energy, that we understand that they will have to evolve away from it as well. So when we made the decision in the US, in Canada, in Australia, a number of other countries, to completely cut off the import of Russian oil, we actually did not expect that from all of our democratic partners immediately because of the historic legacy. But what we do want to do is work together to find alternative sources over time.
But for India, the bigger worry is the growing closeness between Russia and China. Moscow and Beijing have already said that their friendship knows no limits. New Delhi will watch this very carefully.